The title is Winners Never Quit. Mia is the little girl. Mia loved basketball. She loved baseball. But most of all, she loved, what was it? Soccer. Teaching was just something that I could do. I wanted to be out, and I wanted to be able to inspire more children. Not only my own kids, but you know, more children, bilingual children, regular non-lip children, and so I've seen a lot happening throughout many years that I've been teaching, how society has changed, and how you have to adapt to so many changes in the educational system, and it's just fun. Well, how many corners does that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What shape is it? Hexagon. It's a hexagon in the middle. It makes me feel really happy and very inspired that I have touched a lot of children's lives through teaching and just being there for them. Many times it was I had to be a mom and a dad and a counselor for them so that they could get through the day because of so many problems that have happened in society, and I just feel like it's been that kind of life teaching, but it's been fun. I think we all deserve to be Teachers of the Year, and because we all work so hard, and so I felt honored, very honored to be Teacher of the Year, and I just wish that every teacher has the opportunity to get that special feeling. Who are the characters of the story?
You can already tell me about some of the characters that are in the story. Just give
I
me
think
one.
that they just see a hardworking. I taught after school. I did tutoring sessions after school, on my own, and it kind of just opened it up to the kids. If y'all, if you think you need it, come on in. During lunch. They come in. They work in during lunch. I lend myself to these kids because I don't see it as just a job. This is a passion for me. This is something where I'm here 8 hours a day. For many of the kids, this is really a home for them. I like to provide almost a family structure here that I need for them to know that I believe in them and they can believe in me. I'm here for them, and just like they're here for me. So I really think that that's what they saw. This teacher really does go above and beyond for these kids, and she's not in it, per se just because, for whatever other reason. The kids are what I'm here for.
Early the next morning, he put on his heavy fur coat and crawled out of the igloo.
When the kids come up with, they make that big eye contact of like, oh my gosh, I know that. I'm like, oh yes, I'm doing it right, I'm doing it good. They got it, they learned it. And especially when you hear them conversing out just on campus, and I learned this, I did this, and so forth. I really like the way Ms. Guzman did this. That's awesome to hear, because I can really tell they were focused, they learned it, and that's what I'm here for, to teach them. And to teach them not just for the lesson that we're doing, but as they've gone on. I've had other kids come in from the upper grades, come in, Ms. Guzman, we went into this class and the teacher asked us, did you know this? And we all raised our hand because we knew it. And that's great, you guys learned it, and it was instilled. So yes, that aha moment is just.
I go up to the table, Daniela comes to the table and says, everyone else, you are quietly reading.
Come in with the ideas that you're comfortable with. I would say come in without any fear. Embrace the classroom. Come in, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, come in, embrace the kids, come in with your ideas. Don't be afraid to use those ideas. Don't be afraid of causing a wave as far as, maybe some teachers are set in a certain way. No, new ideas are always welcome. Without getting emotional, my mom, she gave me the biggest hug. She called me. I had, within, I want to say, probably 2 hours, I was already getting texts from my dad's family. Mija, we're so proud of you. Mija, we saw you as Educator of the Month. Now we heard that you're Teacher of the Year. I mean, it was just an outpour of a lot of family that was very, very proud of me. My sisters in San Antonio even got that message, you know, and it was like, sister, you know, I love you. I'm so proud of you. And, you know, I know you work hard. I mean, it was nice. It was very nice.
Okay, boys and girls, we're looking at our homework. It should be page 679, but we're gonna go over some of those things that you need to make sure you understand. Okay, read the directions. The student itself is a totally different student. The vocabulary that these boys and girls now have to be using is really increased.
The X.
The X.
Of 6.
Okay, the X, you know, what the kids are doing now, parents did them when they were in 6th, 7th grade. The curriculum has really, really changed. You know, they've gone from like asking what is the setting of the story to what's the possible setting and what word makes it a possible setting. So that's a big gap. What's another possible setting, Brenda Lee?
Because he says he makes it in art, sometimes you make it.
Oh, so it could be an art class. Very good. Somebody else have another possible? I promote the reading so much. I love reading. And I'm constantly sharing with them what books that I've read. I said, I read this book, I went to see the movie. It doesn't compare. Read the book. The book's a lot better than the movie. Now, what does the sentence say?
I make an octagon.
I'm an octagon. When we do like a story problem, we talk about the characters, we talk about the setting, action. That's done in the reading class, but I promote it so they can see that it's not just done in the reading class. To me, if you can read, you can do anything and everything. Reading is a big part of math this year. So you've got to read everything that is there. I decided in 2nd grade that I was going to be a teacher. And I said, so start thinking about it. Do whatever you can. I said, when I was at school, we used to play escuelitas. You know, I don't even know they even understand the word escuelitas. And of course, naturally, I was always the teacher. Did you use 4 parallelograms? And you made a bigger parallelogram? That's awesome. That's great. Well, I'm very proud of the fact that I got selected. Margot has awesome teachers, you know, and it's a hard selection to make, you know. There was like on the list at least 12 teachers. I didn't vote. I didn't vote because there were so many people on there that I said, they're awesome, what do I select? I'm very honored to have been selected as the Margot Teacher of the Year.
I want
Vowel suffix, ed, so it's going to be here or here. I always loved school when I was a kid, and when I went to college, I just liked taking classes. I was one of the long-term undergrads, and I kept thinking, I love learning, I love school, I love kids, I should be a teacher. Say U. How do we read this? Fused. Yeah, that U is tricky. I have found over the years it's become less what I thought it would be. It's getting to be more about testing and so on. So that part I don't enjoy. But I have the luxury being a resource teacher. I bring my kids and I can usually ignore what's going on out there, and I teach. I feel very fortunate that I can escape some of the things that general ed teachers have to deal with.
Short.
What's the short U sound?
Fuzz.
Mostly what I try to do is give them confidence that they can do it. It's very sad when you have these initial meetings on these kids and with their parents, and they cry because the parents will say, I just thought he was lazy or this, and they go, no, there's a real problem, but we can help them. And often the kids have given up by then because they come in and say 2nd grade, they've repeated 1st grade already, or they come in 3rd grade and they can't read. And I said, no, we can get them reading. We just have to go back to the beginning.
Move. M-O-V-E, move.
Good. G-O-O-D, good.
So I really want them to remember me as a positive force, and I've been very fortunate in, I have kids come back and say, Miss, I'm graduating this year. These are special ed kids, so this is really something to me. I'm graduating this year, I want you to come, and or they'll be in the hall and say, I'm here with my daughter's in pre-K, Miss Kramer, do you remember me? That's enough for me. They remember me, and I'm just a small part of their day. Their regular teacher, they spend most of the day with, so I think it's really special to me that they remember I did something for them, and they remember my name, and they remember what I look like, and they still have fond memories of me, so that's all I can ask for.
But you're going to build a model bridge, in particular the arch bridge with connects. Okay?
I'm very honored, but at the same time, I know that there's a lot of other teachers out there that go unrecognized. There's a lot of other support staff that go unrecognized. There's an old cliche, it takes a village, and I truly believe in that.
So the challenge is going to be a little different than the red group that's building an arch bridge with connects. You're going to build a beam bridge with wooden planks.
I was a math teacher for years. I've done KWES for the last 15 years. I saw the KWES teacher at the school that I was at, which was Airport. His name was Martin Nelson. He's still a KWES teacher. And I loved everything that they had the opportunity to do. And I thought it was something different. I wanted something different at that time. I wanted a new challenge. And so I had asked my principal, well actually my facilitator at that time, who's now my principal now, if she thought that that would be something she thought that I would be good at. And she said, yeah, try it. So I did, and here I am 15 years later. And I love it. I absolutely love it.
You're at the red table. You're working with connects.
There's lots of different recognition, but I have to say, the most honorable thing that I enjoy the most is when a kid comes back from 6th or 7th grade and comes in and talks to you and tells you that what they learned in the KWES class was rewarding and that they benefited from it. When parents come in and talk to you about how much their child loves the classroom, that is the big honor for me, is when it comes from within, the kids that I affect every day. Everybody that I have worked with has made me become Teacher of the Year. My principal, her and I have worked together for years. She gives me a lot of support. The office staff, every aspect of the school, again, down to the librarian, other teachers here at RICO. They're so supportive. Sometimes my kids want to make up classes. I go in there and ask them, can I do this? And yes, they're always willing to work with me. And I like that. Probably the most significant person in my life for the reason I became a teacher was my mother. Okay, she was a teacher herself. She taught English, art, journalism in high school. But I watched her go to school to become a teacher while we were young. I watched her first years of teaching, and I was fortunate enough to work with her here at RICO. She worked right across the hall as an art teacher. It's quite a story for me. It's a very sad story too, but I'm sorry. I gotta stop. But anyway, she's why I'm a teacher. No, I just want to say that I'm very honored. But I cannot emphasize enough how everybody plays a role at the school. It takes a team. It takes teamwork to make a school successful, to make a teacher successful. It takes wonderful students like I have that accept me for who I am, I accept them for who they are, and that's what makes, it takes a lot of different factors that make a teacher who they are.
What does that mean, evenly distributed? I think I've always thought in the background I might be a teacher. Like, I started going to school for other things and just not sure of what I wanted to do. And then when it was time to buckle down and pick something, I knew it went back to teaching.
The last one says, a characteristic that can be measured or observed without changing.
Every year in every class period is a different experience. You can't do the same thing all day, every day.
You better look at your notes.
When I was in school, it was a lot of lecture. You had your desks in a row, your teacher gave the lecture, you took your notes, and if you caught it and you understood it, great. If you didn't, it kept going, there was no time. Now you have to adjust. The kids aren't the same. You do have a lot of that technology going on, so the span's not there. So you may be doing the same concepts, but you have to find different ways. I still do a lecture day here and there, because you do need that note-taking day, because that's how some of the kids learn. Some of the kids need a different way, so then you do the hands-on part. Even though it's the same lesson, you're finding different ways to teach the same lesson. Relative density, how do I find out that? I think the hardest thing is that they want the answer to the question. They don't want to think of the why. This one says, has a specific volume, but not a shape. Liquid. Why liquid? So if we can get them to think of the why, it opens up a whole lot of more doors. So now it says you're determining the physical properties of aluminum foil. If I give 100%, I want 100% back. It's like a two-way job. I'm gonna put my part, you need to put your part too. And then together, we're gonna get there. I think the best is to say like, you know what, you taught me something. I learned something that I didn't know before. And I've had that happen. I have 6th graders who will still come back and say, I'm smart in science because of you. And I love that. It gets me like, oh, it's like a tearjerker for me, for them to say, you know, you taught me something I didn't know.
You're going to barcode and scan your card so you can come up with a word.
At a very young age, my parents instilled in me the love for education. My teachers, my school teachers actually made me pursue it.
Rotate.
My mom used to work at a school and she was a custodian there, but she had a passion for her job. And she would always say, look, listen to your teachers, they know what they're talking about. They're there to help you. And she always respected the education system. She instilled that in me at a very young age, and I just grew on it. And as I said, my teachers just inspired me. Everything that they did in the classroom is something that I kept in my heart, and I still do. And I want to be that teacher and that role model for my students. Every year is different, and you learn a lot through your children and your students. I guess that's the good thing about it. You never get bored. You learn what they want, and you try to innovate yourself with a lot of different kind of trainings, and you bring them into your classroom. Eventually work with them and see them grow. Remember, anything that interests you, is important to you, go ahead and put it on your booklet. We never stop learning, and they're very high functioning in electronics. Sometimes we feel like we're staying behind, but they'll show us. As you saw in my classroom, some of the kids already knew what to do. I mean, I was like, why isn't this thing working? They figure a way around it, and they're very, very intelligent in that sense.
Who's the leader in this group? Who's the leader in this group?
You have different kind of kids. You have kids that have ADHD, kids are very motivated with technology. So what I do, I incorporate it in my lessons. Every day I incorporate it because it's something that they crave and it's something that they love. So it's really helped a lot, especially with those kids. And you use it as you can and try to bring out the best in them. What? For example, one of my lessons, I have concentration games for high frequency words. So I just said, you know what, if we can put barcodes on the high frequency words and they love iPads and apps, why not put it together? And it's something that they enjoy. And they're like, Miss, you gotta put that center out. But they're also learning their high frequency words. Now we're at the level 8. It's almost like a 2nd grade level, and they're reading it. And it's through technology and the old school high frequency words and concentration games, but you kind of put it like in a bingo format. And that's really been something that I've seen in my students, because they're memorizing it. They don't see it, but they're actually memorizing and playing it on a daily basis.
Could. That's the word could, right?
It's our job as educators that we need to provide the best quality education we can for our students, because they are our future.
Oh,
okay, try the other one. I want my students to remember me as a teacher that loved them and taught them. I always wanted the best for them. And like I always tell my students, as long as they do it with their heart, they can't go wrong.
Do this, that's only how many times did you move?
1.
That's only 1. So go back to 5 and add 6 more. Go ahead. I was actually a photography major, and my counselor is the one that told me at school. They said, you know, it's something that I think you're going to really like, and our photography program was actually closing. And I went ahead and just saw my options, and I said, you know, this is the best one. And it's something that I had actually wanted to do for a while, but I was very nervous. So it was through his advice that I actually started teaching.
I didn't know my brain.
You know it in your brain. I think the children now are a lot more knowledgeable and open to things. They have one iPad, they can do everything. Throughout the day, we also have online books, Tumble Books, Mayan, they have writing apps, so where they can actually do handwriting for math and for phonics. Throughout the day we have math, patterns, addition, subtraction, social studies, science through apps and sites like United Streaming, Brain Pop Junior.
I want to get on a hard level.
It's one device, and as the day goes on, they just know that, okay, from now this is a file that I use. It's a way to get outside of the classroom. I want them to like school. That's crucial. And when they come to school and they have fun, they're learning, but they're not aware that they're learning. They come in and they think they're playing a Duck Duck Goose game, but we're really doing we're doing sight words. We're doing some type of activity. I want my kids to remember me as someone who really cared about them, like a mother figure. I care about them. And everything that we did in the classroom, even if, with all the love that we have, and even some of those times that we do have to be more strict and be on them, it's because we care. No matter where they are, we still think about them and we wish them the best. So for them to know that what we do is for their, for the best for them.
So many times the conflicts occur because we only look at how different we are. Well, she's different from me, he's different from me, so I can't like him. He can't be in our group. I think what I've seen is just the motivation of kids has kind of died down a bit. And I think us as educators need to find a way to get them to want to learn. Not just, to teach to the test, but beyond that. I want them to walk out of here as good citizens. So diversity is something that should actually be celebrated, okay, or embraced. In middle school, I've had to learn to be just extra patient. The kids just really need that strict yet fair guidance. But they need to know that they have a voice, and I think that's really important. And you're going to select a person who has overcome adversity. I want them to know that that teacher, Mrs. Ramirez, set high expectations for me, and I need to continue setting high expectations for myself throughout life. That's what I want them to remember. It wasn't always party time, it always wasn't I get to do what I want, or play, or it's just, I'm very strict yet fair, but when they walk out of here they have learned. You're going with nonfiction, not fiction, because this has to be an actual person. There are days that are really tough, and some days I walk out asking myself if I've made a difference at all. I know many of my colleagues and I talk about it, but just feeling that appreciation from others is really nice, but it just isn't about me at all. I've learned so much from some other teachers, that have been here. I have a great principal who's been, awesome to me. He's been my principal 9 out of the 10 years. So I've learned a lot from him. So it's been an awkward time, the whole Teacher of the Year, but I'm really humbled by it, certainly.
Remember that for 4 years, your tuition and fees might be per semester, they might be per year. You need to make sure when you are finding this amount, am I gonna find a yearly payment or a monthly payment? So I'm not gonna divide by 3, I'm gonna divide by... I was inspired by some of my previous teachers. Also, I was in law enforcement before I was a teacher, and I ran into a lot of students, a lot of young adults out on the street who had given up on the education system. So I figured maybe if I got into the school system and teaching, I could reach some of those students before they made the choice to give up on the education system. So now you can go and figure out your student loan amount. I love this campus. I love working with these students. They have a drive. They want to learn. Even sometimes the ones that struggle, they want to learn. You need to find the way to teach them.
What university? Oregon. Ducks? All right, this amount. How did you get that amount? I want to know how you came up with 3,100. Did you clear it?
You don't do it for the pay. It's, I love my job. I love getting up, coming to work, working with the students. I coach outside also, so I get to interact with the students in the classroom, outside the classroom, in the club activities. So it's I love what I do.
You have your tuition and fees? Did you get print one off the internet? What college is it? Okay, so let me see. Remember that for your final project, you have to have the printout from the internet. Okay?
It was a privilege. It's a privilege to be honored. We have a lot of great teachers here at Mary Hogue. In fact, this is like the best campus. And to be honored among those teachers, you know, to stand out and be nominated by my peers as Teacher of the Year, it was a privilege.
We're going to go on to TexasRealityCheck.com. Is everybody on the site? Okay. So what I want for you all to do is actually look at the site. Look at how you see where it's got 3 options. The first one is Reality Check. Every day in my classroom, I try to inspire my students, and I do want for them to dream big, and I want for them to believe in themselves and to feel like they can do anything. And you know, we all know that some of them come from backgrounds where their parents aren't educated, and they don't have that positive influence at home. And so in my classroom and when they're with me, and I know that the other teachers do it as well, and we always try to inspire them, you know, and believing yourself, I feel, is the most important thing, because without having that confidence, you really can't achieve much. And Dr. Alejandro is always talking to us about dreaming big, and so I decided to take his advice, and I dreamed big, and I invited President Barack Obama to actually be one of my speakers and to come and actually address my students. And I was so excited that they actually sent me something from the White House. And so as you can see behind me, I actually have a picture of President Obama and the first family. They wrote a letter that they sent from the White House. My favorite part of his letter, because of course it is addressed to Mrs. Ramirez's class, and it was so exciting for me to actually present this to the kids that when I read it to them, their jaws were like on the floor, like, really? Like, it's from the President of the United States? I'm like, yes, it really is. And so my favorite part of this letter says, in the years ahead, always remember that nothing is beyond your reach as long as you are willing to dream big and work hard. If you stay focused on your education, I know there are no limits to what you can achieve. And this is exactly what I try to inspire my students every single day. And to have this here to motivate them every day, for them to know that the president actually cared enough to actually send them a letter, to me is just, I have no words. It's just really, really great. Somebody who has education. I felt so humbled because you almost feel like you're not worthy because you know how hard these teachers work in their classrooms, and I feel like I wish I could share this honor with them, you know, because we're all Teachers of the Year. We all work hard, and we all work to inspire our students, and so I was really just, I feel very honored to be representing my campus as Teacher of the Year.
All right, system of equations. That is when 2 lines what? When they intersect. When I was going to school, I needed a side job, so I started working as a college tutor at Luis Black Elementary. And I was an account major at the time. And I noticed that I like working with kids. I was good with kids. And so I decided to change my major to education. And that's why I started teaching. Now what I want you to do is I want you to finish the back, okay? If you finish, just wait patiently till we go over them, but do the back 4. I have to make sure they believe in themselves. I have to make sure they want to succeed. If they don't want to succeed, then there's no point in me doing anything. They have to get that ganas, they have to get that fire, they have to want to succeed. And then from there, that's where I take the steps to get them there. +3, this is my y-intercept. In math, it's all about steps. And I have them for the first 5 minutes, and then after 5 minutes, I start noticing I start losing 1 or 2 kids, and they get bored, and I'm just like, stick with me. And I try to be funny. I try from the beginning to get that structure in my class, so that I tell them, you know, this is how the day's gonna work. It's gonna be notes, guided practice, assignment, and then it's a routine. I try to get them into that routine so that they get used to it. And every once in a while, I'll throw in a little fun little activity that'll keep their attention. If you look at the slope, it's the what? I want my kids to remember me as a good teacher. I want them to say back like, oh, I remember Mr. Garcia. He was a good teacher. He taught us. I don't want them to say, I remember Mr. Garcia. He was fun. I remember Mr. Garcia, he let us do whatever he wanted. I want to be the teacher where they say, you know what, we actually learned in that class. What he taught us actually helped us in high school, college, and so forth. We take our star and then they get the results back and they're excited, sir, we passed, I can't believe it. What you taught me was on the test and I did this and just knowing that they succeeded makes me feel better, makes my job worth it.
What I want you to do is go ahead and switch papers and just read through and see if you can figure out what your partner's thesis statement's supposed to be. Just like any child, dressing up and playing the role of the teacher, playing the role of a vet, and it was so many different things that I wanted to do as a kid. But as I started taking, college courses and I started to really see, well, I enjoy this a lot more than I guess I thought initially. I think that you have your concession statement, your counter, and your thesis. I just loved reading, loved writing, and I had some amazing teachers and professors. I'm a product of Weslaco, born and raised, went through the public school systems here in Weslaco, and I just wanted to share the same love of literature and writing with students. So go ahead and read it out loud to me.
As Thomas Paine once said, the United States should be
I want them to feel like they are members of academia. They're able to engage in conversations, literary conversations, and be able to write at a collegial level. And that's ultimately what I want for my students.
I think it was only the story that he showed to the world to show that he, who he really was.
As an English teacher, you're expected to read numerous essays, pages upon pages, but it's something that you begin to understand your student. You see them progress as a writer, and it makes it worthwhile.
That they're all created equal and they all deserve the same opportunity.
I want them to reflect and think, gosh, we did so much, I wrote so many papers, I read so many books, but I know that she did it because she wanted to prepare me for reality. Your thesis statement is really what I wanted to make sure that you guys had clearly stated. As stated before, it is that backbone for your entire paper. So if you have a weak backbone, everything else is going to crumble. I do what I do, again, because I love teaching and I love working with the kids. When I found out the news, I know Mrs. Morales made the announcement at the end of the day, and I was in the middle of just going over the assignments for the weekend, and it was my sophomore group, they just yelled and screamed and clapped, and I mean that in itself was so validating for me as a teacher, as their teacher. Awesome. Thank you guys.
Okay guys, we're gonna go over some questions here. Remember, we're doing the review for your EOC exam, all right? So one of the first questions I want to go over here is number 4, all right? Turn to number 4, please. When I was in school, my main strength was mathematics. So the opportunity came along and they told me, would you be willing to teach math? And that's how I started, and I really enjoyed it. So right here they're saying F of M. What is that really trying to say? Okay, good, keep going. Challenges that I've faced is when the students come with problems from home and showing them that they need their education to succeed in the future. But over here, I can't say that R is the X or T is the X. I gotta explain both of them. You understand that? I think I really connect with the kids because, when I was in school, I saw some of the things that the teachers wouldn't do too well. So now that I'm a teacher, I try to fix those problems and be a better teacher. Whenever you have these sentences that say, depends on, depends on, depends on, who do you start those sentences with? I build a teacher-to-student relationship where I want to show them that, yeah, I'm your teacher, but I'm just a human being just like you. So between B and D, now I got to figure out the second half of the answer choice right here. What I want them to remember about me was that Mr. Ibarra was a teacher that cared for me, that he didn't just come and do his job. Like, when you're here as a teacher, you have many hats. You're a counselor, you're a teacher, you give advice. Let's look at 13. This was a great question. I was recognized by my coworkers and all that, but it's not just me. Like, I work very closely with my algebra team and my SLC, and we support each other a lot. And they can see that if I need help, they're there for me, and if they need help, I'm there for them. So we've built that relationship, and they trust me, and I trust them as well. So basically, it's just having a great coworkers and coming to work and knowing that somebody's there for you, and they're here to support you. You guys agree? So knowing that, what's the answer? B. Awesome. Very good.
Find a seat either on a desk or at a computer. I was always a nurturer, and I learned really young, and I can remember back when I was in band, they chose me to be an officer, and so I was the leader of that trumpet section, and I loved guiding them and educating them and teaching them, as a senior, teaching the freshmen things that they needed to know. And so from there I knew that I was meant to be some type of educator.
We're gonna find our heartbeat using our radial pulse.
They're able to succeed a lot more than what society gives them credit for. And so that to me is very fulfilling, especially seeing them graduate. A lot of these students come to us and they feel this is their last chance. They weren't able for one reason or another to make it in the regular high school setting. They come to us and we have a lot smaller setting here. So for them to even receive half a credit and then to get to those 27 credits that they need to graduate is a huge accomplishment for them. I'll jog with you. A lot of students come to us and they already feel defeated. This is their last opportunity. We have teen moms, we have students that have been dropouts for a year or two and they're coming back. So the challenge is getting them into the classroom and helping them believe in themselves, believe that they can do it. They don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, and you have to be that positive for them to remind them that it can be done, they can do it, just to put their best effort forward.
What do you think caffeine does to your heart?
We need to nurture them, enlighten them, give them that hope, and that way that they feel that they have the strength to vocalize what it is they need. Because here in high school and public school, we offer everything to them. We go to them, we help them. When they go on to society, once they're graduates, they need to advocate for themselves. Nobody else is going to advocate for them. It can be a challenge sometimes, but it's very fulfilling, very rewarding, because these students come from you hear very sad stories, sad backgrounds from them. And I'm sure that's the case throughout the district and throughout the U.S., but a lot of these students have given up. I mean, we've had so many, they come to you with so many different stories, and it amazes me that they're still here. They're still trying to move forward and to make something out of themselves, and that I'm a part of that.
Sometimes people say, because this happened, then this happened. And they try to convince you to do something by using the faulty cause and effect. A lot of the times, we don't realize that we're not being told things logically. If you look at this, it looks like...
What motivates me is these children will become productive citizens of our community, of this country, and the hope that their future is going to be full of promise and opportunity, because I feel like a lot of children in our area lack opportunities, and especially with this program, I know that when they graduate from early college, they're going to have opportunities that we only dreamt of.
There was a lot less people in 1950. There was also a lot less cars. So if you know that now there's about 1 billion cars on the road, does that change the conclusion that you draw?
What got me into teaching was, I was actually a communications major, public relations and advertising. And I went into an internship my senior year of college, and I hated the business world. And so I had an English minor, and I went to see a counselor, and she recommended that I certify to teach English. And I did a couple of observations in a high school, and I loved it, and that's the route that I took instead.
If you cannot reason, has anyone ever called you unreasonable? Don't be unreasonable, okay? It means that you're not able to process thought effectively.
It fills me with joy and with gratitude to be in a position where I can do that for somebody, because when I think about the teachers that made a difference in my life, to this day, I still remember them. I remember the lessons that I learned from them, and they've served me so well. And to be able to do that, provide that for somebody else, is so gratifying and so fulfilling. And I just don't see another job where you would have that opportunity, or to be able to connect with people in the way that we do, long term and for a lifetime.
31.
31 cents, good job. Yes, 31 cents is exactly right.
In 2006, I decided to quit my job and I was a TA, started working at Silva Elementary, teaching the kids and working with students, working with special needs students is what really I specialized in when I got hired. We're gonna get that 80 and we're gonna replace it, that low grade. So what we can do, I know you have a couple of them missing, so what we can do, I can work with you. I want to be a difference maker. I want to do that too. I want to, touch the students' lives and in a positive way, so that's what really got me and going on as far as wanting to be a teacher. What is your favorite food? Favorite. That's a question. That's a question. Good, that's a question. It just grew from there. I went back to school and I finally graduated about 2012 and I went into middle school and teaching there and special ed also. And last year I came here and even in the summers I'm going to staff development, just trying to get better at my craft at doing and trying to reach these kids, the best way I can. They're all 21st century learners. They're all, trying to keep up with them because a lot of these students know a lot more than I do. So I'm just trying to always learn also. So as a teacher, I'm a learner also. What is this called? This is what at the end is a period. Okay. So it doesn't have a question mark. So it's gonna be a sentence or a statement. Good, statement. Nothing's impossible. Just because they're at this school, they're labeled as bad kids. I get emotional because I don't think they're bad kids. I think they're just, they made mistakes, they're misguided. So we just gotta give them, open up to them and relate to them and hear them out. So I want my kids to remember me as someone who, cared enough to go out of his way to do all I could for them to be successful. No matter if I have to stay late or come in earlier to help them, I told them, I will do whatever you need me to do but meet me halfway. I want them to know, Mr. Martinez, he cared for me. He tried all he could. And, that's what I want them to come away with, that, knowing that I did care for them and I did all I could to help them be successful in the classroom and beyond.